So I'm very, very excited to have you on the podcast. This is like been a long time coming. We met only recently at an event that we had together in LA, and we weren't even meant to cross paths. Like you met one of my representatives there at the event, and then we just got pushed into a meeting together. Was it Kevin Costner that like
Kevin
went
Costner, yeah.
past us?
Hmm. I
I
swear we should have thought that. It would have been good.
I even forgot about that completely just until this very moment. This very moment. I remember the Lamborghini guy was like coming through, and but for a moment I forgot Kevin Costner when right past us as I was measuring you for your suit. And what happened? Did it nod towards you, or what
Yeah,
did he
no,
do?
he got the tie. He actually held on to the tie. Don't you remember? He says, "Oh, this looks really good."
Oh my God, that is awesome. I can't believe it. I honestly forgot until this very second.
Yeah, because we were
It's a
measuring up for the suit. I got my suit from Julia actually.
Yeah,
Um, I saw her maybe a month or two ago, maybe,
yeah,
maybe,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, maybe because I went away again. So I was in LA filming my first episode. Then I went to Canada. So I've been everywhere. So it's
yeah,
been back and forth. But I think I saw her in January, actually. I saw her in January,
yeah,
late January,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I
it would
picked
have
up the
been.
suit.
I'm very excited for a number of reasons. I think the things I was most excited about it was literally just like get wrap my head around what how you actually deal with the lifestyle, right? Like this is something that I am personally new to, like like going
Hmm.
to traveling around, like literally ever since uh let's say November, I've been to America twice. I went
Hmm.
to Bali. I will be going to London at the end of this month. It is definitely like an exciting lifestyle because for people from the outside see like all of the cool things, right? Like you're like, oh, you're
Hmm.
in LA, you are in London, you're doing this, and you meeting like all of the celebrities. Because personally, like I got the pleasure like very very recently even to work with Bruce Buffer. We're gonna
Hmm.
do like a very cool jacket with the "It's Time" all over it. Like you were there, like for Lamborghini, Tonino Lamborghini with his suit, like with the history of Lamborghini. So how do you make it so like it doesn't impact you on everything like mental, physical, and business level? What are your tips for anybody that's listening to us on how to deal with quote unquote the negatives of having like this kind of lifestyle?
I think sometimes negatives have to be switched in a different way. So don't always look at negatives as something's happening that is negative. Have more of a positive mindset because you then put like invisible barriers that will start changing like your belief patterns, like giving you limited belief, giving you fear of failure, like some self-doubt. So be more aware of the awareness of reprogramming those actual thoughts. And once you like identify those thoughts and what's really holding you back and changing that thought pattern, it actually then helps you have more direction in everything that you do, whether it's establishing yourself worldwide, moving from place to place, or even establishing yourself on social media is another aspect. But it's being especially disciplined and focused on what you want to do with clarity. And when you
Mm,
know exactly what you're working towards, and it makes it a lot easier and it helps you cut out the noise. Then basically be able to train your mind to think with more structured habits. You time block things. You're more intentional with how you take your breaks. And then it helps you just basically refocus and avoid burnout. I think a lot of people have.
So do you personally structure your day with the time blocking um
Yeah.
strategy? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So can you, because obviously I've heard of it. When I'm good, I do it myself, but I do want you to like kind of like break it down a little bit. So let's say I feel like the reason why I fail to time block and do it consistently is probably because I don't have like a good strategy behind. Like I know that back in the day I was trying to do it in the morning, like in my first hour of the day, like to try and program my day. One of my mentors was doing it on a Sunday night for the week and once a quarter for the 3 months ahead for the big things. How do you do it?
I do it the day before. I do a mental dump, what I call it, is like just dump everything that's on my mind for the next day. And from there, whatever the mental dump is, I pick out three of the most important things that I want to achieve from that mental dump. If I'm saying I'm sleeping for 8 hours, I know I have a wake up time and I have a sleep time. From there, I then book out whether it's the gym, food, lunch breaks, as you would do. Then I'll put the most important aspects that I want to solve during the day. And then the rest of the day is like filler days. What am I doing with work? Who am I going to meet? What are my meeting structures around? And it's basically then allows me to then do like what I call my mind for peak performance. It basically allows you to think smarter, act with intention, and it masters yourself with discipline. And I've got like a really big structure that I continuously follow, and that's all around morning priming. Um, that allows you to start the day with a dedicated way of performing. Use visualizations. You like I hear people use affirmations, but sometimes it can be a mental block to keep on saying things. But you should take action, and by time blocking it and allowing you to take actions on those things, you schedule your sessions, but they should be uninterrupted sessions. Get into a flow state and produce your best work with no distractions and just complete those tasks. So when you're writing down those tasks before, and this is what I mean about morning priming and the visualization, when you can see what you've written down on the paper, it really helps you. And then I also do, when we say training, I don't only just train from climbing, I do a lot of like calm, mindful practices. I take on like breath work, stay control, and be sharp with like meditations. And then that allows you to then control and shape your emotions through the day because when your thinking's interacted and how you have a strong thought pattern, it's really nice because those thoughts are really positive and clear. And having clear and positive thoughts enables you to be more structured. So no, how can I say no negative thoughts come in? Because if a negative thought comes in, it then changes your thoughts. It then changes the way you behave and your emotions because, oh, I didn't get to do this. Oh, why didn't I do this? And you beat yourself up for it. Get rid
Mm.
of those fleeting thoughts and it basically allows you to be clear. And I just think, yeah, it's journaling. And then, yeah, make sure you do at least what I find is some form of exercise, whether it's in your room, outside, walking, whatever you want, but at least give 45 minutes to your body to move in an
Yeah.
exercise format.
Like out of the things that you talked about, there's actually like I have so many questions that really comes to mind. Number one is, you talked about in uninterrupted flow state, right? I think it for a lot of people, like that is very difficult to achieve because of what TikTok, Instagram, like the videos and this and that. So what is a good tip for, make sure that you do have that uninterrupted state?
So as I said, when you write it down, so say you are going to do social media, for instance, people do spend a lot of time on social media. It's a good subject that you bring up because there is a lot of scrolling and people will just sit there and scroll.
Yeah.
Put timers on your phone. I always do a timer on my phone because if I know I'm going to spend an hour working on a subject matter, I'll put that timer just to slap 1 hour, boom, starts. And then it'll ping me when that hour's finished, and then I go back to my journal to see, hey, what am I doing this hour? Is it a meeting? Is it
Mm,
something? And those notifications pop you. So if you then do get distracted where you're posting, doing some reels, it makes you understand like, I need to come off this. This is not being productive, being on it for longer. But having those miniature alarms, oh, it wakes you up. It's like the same thing, like an alarm wakes you up. It's like, oh, what am I doing? What have I done? Have I
yeah.
let it run too much? But it's
Yeah.
these little small mini alarms. Every 15 to half an hour, I get a little ping. It's not like a loud alarm, but it's like a did it. And then
Yeah.
you
Oh,
check,
that's
oh,
awesome.
what have I
I
done?
think this is a really good one. I think a lot of us like find themselves scrolling like for like let's say even an hour, and then you don't know where's your life at and what are you doing with your life. So that's really, really cool that you mentioned that. Then you also talked about a format. You talked about moving your body, journaling, and and meditation, right? This sounds familiar to me because I'm part of the 5 a.m. club, but I don't know if you took any inspiration from that. Did you?
Not
And
from the 5 a.m. club.
okay,
I've been doing it for a very long period, like the getting meditation down, journaling, structuring days has been predominantly in my life for about a decade, but I was doing it not on a level that I do now, should I say.
I see. You saw some improvement during this curve, and then you just like double down on what you think it was
Exactly.
producing success.
And it's basically you do what fits you because you might not like the gym atmosphere, which I hated. So what I did is I joined clubs that held me accountable. So I climb every Sunday and Wednesdays. I have a climbing club that I go to. And that's my outside fitness. The rest is I do every morning a cold plunge.
Oh my God. It's
Yes,
like
every morning is a cold plunge,
you're killing
wakes
my
you up.
spirits. Yes.
Yeah, and it's just introducing stuff that you really enjoy. I read a lot. I have tons of books that I use, and what I've learned from. Mastery is very good by Robert Greene.
Well, there's tons of books. So, what would you like? Let's say that it's always the classic questions, right? I have a friend. I have a friend that is stuck, and I have a friend that has a lot of potential, right? How do you get this friend of mine to wake up from the everyday busyness that this friend has? Like this friend has, the his social like outings, and he's all involved in his calendar, and then he has the what he thinks that his family and his friends he needs to be doing, to be part of this. And however I talk to him, I never obviously like he's not open to a different life. Like he thinks that, that's his life and he's really, really happy with it. How would you get my friend to snap out of it and start living life like to the fullest potential like you're doing?
So I would actually get him to do an experiment of actually writing down what he does each day, because he might think he's doing a lot every day, but
Wow.
where he's not documenting it, he might see then gaps because we've got 24 hours in the day. Now, if you can tell me what you're doing each hour in that day, yeah, then we're good. If you then start ahhing and you're not really sure about what you spent that hour on or this hour on, or I've got this meeting, that starts the questioning mentality. I'll also break down how he treats his most valuable aspects. What are his values? What's his
Mm,
top five values? Get him to write them down. But also what those values are, not to be like an expert at everything, but what other things does he have to add to make him an expert in his values? I then would also get him to journal this because if you can tell me what you're doing on a weekly basis every day, I'm sure we'll find gaps. And
yeah.
we say weekends we're working, or people that say we've got a 9 to 5. All right, you do a 9 to 5, 8 hours working, 8 hours sleep, and I give you that, yeah? That's 16
Hmm.
hours. What are you
Yeah.
doing with the rest of the 8 hours?
That's right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How are you breaking it down? And that's
Mm,
8 hours every day for 5 days. But we're not saying you're going off for 8 hours on a weekend. That's
mm,
16 hours, then you can count on a weekend.
yeah.
So if you're counting the 16 hours, what are you doing during those periods? And okay, I'll
Mm,
give you another 8 hours with family on the weekends. So rather than going to work, you're spending those 8 hours. What are you doing with the rest of the 8 hours after you're spending that with a family? Do you see? And find those time gaps that you're wasting your time. Go to your phone. Tell me how much your screen time is.
So are you saying that like success is directly correlated on how you spend your time? And what do you say to people that don't have the discipline to regulate the date and structure the date? So they against structure, they feel trapped. They don't wanna do the this kind of work, but they also do want to excel and have success. Is there another way, or that is the only way?
If you can't take control of your own mind and your own day, how will you change? It's all about having not an ethos of like, oh, I don't like structure, I don't like this. And the structure of being adaptable and growing. Society allows us to be very adaptable. Technology is moving hugely and influencing us.
Mm,
Why not use applications that, if you don't want to be structured, that can actually do the structure for you?
mm,
Why
mm.
not use applications that enable you to do or automate certain activities that you don't need to be doing in your day-to-day lives? Start automating the mundane things. But structure is something that is always needed. But what level of structure, you should start introducing it slowly, slowly. Yeah,
I
I'm not
see.
saying structure your entire day and say, oh, I know this, this, and this. But okay, say Monday, I'm going to read 18 pages of a book. Fit that in your day. That's adding a small bit of discipline that you know that I'm going to do that. Then once you've got that over a week's period, then add, I will be journaling for 18 minutes in the day. Yeah, I will read 18 minutes. I will journal 18 minutes. You
Mm,
understand? You're adding stuff. And if you then add that, it doesn't become something that you can't do. It becomes a habit that you always do.
yeah,
And if you can do it one day, why can't you do it the next?
it
You
is
know, it's
so.
18 minutes. I can do it. Okay, so
Yeah,
you with willpower, I understand I did it yesterday, and then I've done it today, and then I've done it the next day. And then the days, if you take it day by day, it then becomes a week. So I've done it for an entire week. And then I start again, then it becomes 2 weeks, it becomes a month, it becomes 3 months, it becomes half a year. You understand?
and then
And
it's
it's
me.
just implementing, and then it just becomes your habit because your actions connotate your behaviors. Your behaviors then turn into your actions. Yeah. So your thoughts, then your behaviors, then your actions, and then what you have in front of you. Because I don't think people understand when they start controlling their environments and their atmospheres around them. and really giving permanence to their time. So permanence to the time is actually giving their time positivity, like positive aspects,
Yeah.
achieving positive things. Because when you have the small wins, your brain behind the scenes goes, "Oh, I really like that feeling. I like that win." It's the dopamine, it turns on. So then you have that kind of action.
It is so interesting for me to hear you speak about this because the first thing that comes to mind is that I am asking my clients, I'm asking my people to drastically change the image and the way that they see themselves overnight. So I'll elaborate. So when somebody comes to me, like, sometimes it's just like, let's say for one piece, let's say that they want to look different for like a specific event or public speaking, they want to look a certain way, and I help them.
Mhm.
Some of the times, the ones that I'm always more excited about is when they, in a moment in their life, and they know they need to change. They know they need to change to be heard. They know that the way that they've been behaving, the way they've been presenting themselves, isn't gonna get them where they wanna be. So what they do is they start influencing the behaviors and obviously the way that they present themselves. So a lot of these people, like a lot of my people, they feel like they're not heard. They feel like they're not seen in the crowd. They feel like that they're the same as everyone else, and they want a way to stand out, and they want a way for people to seeing them for who they are. So that journey is more of a let me help you shape that image, right? So then it's like multiple garments, and like you're talking about like a little bit of a wardrobe redo, a few key pieces that you can mix and match, and it's gonna be perfect. Like you mix it on my end is like very easy to say, hey, like you just have to mix and match this, close your eyes and just pick three items and you're gonna be fine. But based on what you just said, I feel like it's like me trying to time block my day. And I have at the moment, like a natural adversity to it because one, I don't understand it well enough to have like the knowing that I'm going to have the results. Two, it's all at once, all too much, right? So in a similar way with my people, like I'm asking them to change the image overnight almost, right? Because I give them the tools, but it's like you giving me the time blocking spreadsheet and say, okay, do it, use it, right? And it's me like giving them like a new wardrobe and I'm saying, use it, get rid of your old self, and instead like become this new person that we play with, that we shape together. And just and literally just a couple of weeks ago I went to an event in which one of my clients was attending, and he looked like his old self, and I'm like, so why have we done all of this work together? I gave you the tools to appear more professional, strong, confident, like, to really like attract the people that you need to attract. But then you show up at a professional event like this. So it's very interesting for me to hear what you say because it's about, like those small wins and gradual wins. So how would you translate what you just said, like in terms of like discipline of 18 minutes of reading a book, 18 minutes of journaling? How would you translate into a wardrobe where somebody will definitely attract the right people, make the right sales, be the confident person of himself, being the best version of himself? But how do you help them navigate this change?
So for me, it's around kind of 10 steps, I always say. My first step is always to focus on setting meaningful goals because when you start setting meaningful goals for yourself, you get that endorphins, you start feeling good. I think it's then focusing on creating a positive mindset. So always thinking that you don't have time, or I don't like structure, or I don't like this. Start thinking in a more positive aspect. Oh, I've got some more time here. Oh, by doing this, I can spend more time with my family. Oh, by doing this, I've learned something. I've become more engaging. Then again, with yourself, where you say like you give them this persona and stuff, and you try to transform them, they need to then start building healthier habits around not turning back, not only from a physical perspective, like the clothes they wear, but also from a mental perspective. And then you can add spiritualism, as we said, like from the meditation aspect, breath work, all of this kind of helps. Then another major factor that I see when I coach people is having emotional intelligence or developing emotional intelligence. And when I see when people can actually control their emotional intelligence, they become a better person. We then would have to then say they need to start expanding their knowledge, because when they come to you, they're at one certain level of knowledge. So how do they start expanding themselves? So when I put a suit on, I'm as knowledgeable as I feel when wearing a nice suit or a nice shirt or a nice dress, smart dressed aspect. If you don't build the knowledge around it and you're putting a facade on, you then start going back into your normal ways and you start what I call is drifting. You just drift through life and then you're 70 years old and say, oh, what did I do in my life? I think, and then it's all also around embracing your failures and learning from it. Like we're all gonna fail. No one's perfect. But the people that actually learn from their failures and don't repeat them are actually the winners. But if you keep on doing the same thing and getting yourself back into the same situation, you're not basically embracing your failures in the correct way. On top of that, you start building resilience in yourself to be resilient about going back to your old self. If I've done all the
Mm,
work to get on stage and speak and face my fears, I need to build that resilience to stay in that position. And I think then you need to then start practicing self-reflection and looking at yourself and reflecting on that person. I really like that person that I was. I really like the person when I see in that suit. And start holding your shoulders, head up high, building those behaviors, controlling it. And then the biggest factor that I find with people, they don't change their relationships. They don't change the people that they have around them. They don't have a mastermind group of people that are growing with them. What happens is they go back to their same friends, their same people, and they drag them down. Just like crabs in a bucket, they always wanting to get on top of each other and get over them. I think that's what happens with people. People, when they start seeing someone get to another level, let me bring him back down to my success. But it's also a comfort level of the other person. He's not putting himself in a room that there people are smarter than him, more educated. He's not cultivating his environments correctly. He's basically not controlling his environments and the things that influence him. So what happens when he doesn't control those environments and the people that influence him? He starts drifting back into his old ways. His friends come back into his life that never helped him. And then you
mm,
see them again, you're like, what happened? Why?
yeah.
You did all this work.
And I mean, this the one that you just touched on right now is something extremely important. So surrounding your surroundings, they shape you, they mold you, right? I learned this when a little bit later in life. Like I learned this when I was like probably like around 35, right? 35, like that's when I started questioning things. I started like asking the hard questions and kind of like taking responsibility for the man that I was. So like and I think this change for me started more specifically when I was 30. I come from very humble beginnings, I call it, but the reality is that, I've lived through, like a chronically depressed person in my household, somebody that was meant to protect me, someone that was meant to show me the way, show me the ropes, and kind of like give me a push in life. Instead, I found myself being pulled down constantly at every turn, right? And if anything, I find myself being the caregiver from a very early age. For my whole life until when I was 30, like I was blaming who I was to my upbringing. But then I just decided to take this conversation with myself and say, how much of who I am today it is due to something that happened, in the span of like, my early age to like 10 years ago, right? Because when I was probably around 20, I left my house when I was about 18, 19, but then I went back, and then the complete severance happened when I was 24. So between 24 and 30, I didn't change as a person. Like, and I was like, how much is who I am today due to my upbringing versus like who I just behaved to be, right? And that led me into like going back to uni, like, and then I went in this journey. Then I started my own business at 35, and I had another big slap on the face where I everything growing up, like I was always outside of the household. It was easy, right? Sports, I was good at it. I was good at it. Like, like anything that would put my mind to, it came easy. Like relationships, I was good at it, right? And then for the first time, I got myself into something that I wasn't good at it, and there wasn't a way to fake my way through it. There wasn't my way to like, fake it until you make it. So like, I had to at first admit that I wasn't good at it, and then like take the steps, like like read books. And but going back to the environment is like literally that is something that really shaped the person that I am today. I painfully took myself out of an environment in which I was quote unquote thriving, but it wasn't thriving. It was, I was king of. I was king of the hill, but in the mountain, I was a nobody, right? So it was very uncomfortable going from I'm the best at like everybody here, I am top dog, top like bigger fish, and then putting myself in the ocean where I was the smallest against like whales, right? So this is something that like only who has gone through it obviously can articulate, right? Like I can articulate because I've gone through it. Um, so how would you suggest to somebody that doesn't know, like it doesn't know how to get themselves out of the circle, out of the friendship groups, out of like, how do you tell that person um, and like in clear enough steps, this is how you go from your pond to the ocean, and this is how you mix with the people that are going to make a big difference in your life.
For me, I would start with what is their vision for themselves? Yeah. How do
Mm,
they see themselves currently? You know? And how do they see themselves in a year? What do they envision? Because they need to start visioning themselves completely differently to who they are currently. And once they start envisioning themselves as the person they want to become, those things start opening up in their sight. They start seeing the conversations that they're having, the people that they're around. Like, oh, for instance, you could say, oh, I'm going to have X on my podcast. And if your friend says, oh, yeah, whatever, you really, straight away, you have to cut that. You have to
yeah.
cut that kind of energy. You need to cut that kind of person out. But unless you have a vision of where you want to be, you'll never be able to see it. You'll carry on be drifting, as I say. You'll be on the same vibration as your environment and be the same person around it. And then it's actually picking up books of what you want to be or how you want to be seen. Look at individuals that have had direction. Yeah. Name three of them who you admire and what they achieve when they had direction.
Mm.
Then look at yourself when you don't have any direction and how did you feel? What were the emotions behind it? Then look about those emotions that you had to then start building the intelligence that you should not have those emotions at that time. Because then they will trigger other aspects. So your upbringing, you say, they might trigger something, but you don't know. It's when you have no direction as an individual and you have no purpose that you're fighting towards that you will never see these encounters. So being directionless, how do you feel when you're directionless? What are the emotions? How do you have that? When you have purpose and you have direction, what are those emotions? What do you need to have around you? And that starts building up the subconscious behind it, and how you feel subconsciously. Now, when you start building those out and you have, it may be saying, I want to run a marathon in a year's time. Yeah. Work it back. Yeah. That's my vision. Now work it back step by step. What do I need to do? What's the first thing I need to do? I need to start running. I need to do this. Yeah. So I need to then block out 10 minutes in the day, just go for a run, and it starts giving you direction. But write down individuals that you find have had so much purpose and drive and what their achievements are and what the values that you see from them. Write them down because when you start seeing it, Bruno, you can't always be taught in there's I always say there's two ways of learning. There's someone that tells you it and you start taking it in, yeah?
Mm.
So you have those teachers that you could sit in a classroom and someone could tell you it, yeah? And you could take it all in. But then there's the other aspect of someone that can't take it in from someone telling them. And you need to start seeing it visually. You need to start writing it down for yourself and taking it in through your eyes to then see, oh, damn, I can see this now. Now I'm writing this down. And this is a technique I use on like when I coach people myself. I
Mm.
get them to start visualizing the person that they want to be. I get them to write a personal statement to themselves in a year's time that they will read back to themselves and seal, you know.
Okay.
And then in a year's time, when they've come off the training, because my training is not a short 10-week, 30-day program. I don't do anything like that. It's a very constringent 42-week program with a case study each week that opens up a different behavior, a different action, tells you to tackle something differently. And then from there, at the end of it, I want you to open it up and say, read it out to yourself. Are you that person? Did you become that person that you want to do? Because you're striving to do something. And the reason why you have it sealed in the back of your head, yeah? What did I write on there? You
Mm.
continuously question yourself, what did I write down? What did I write down? And your subconscious will start making you think this thing. And it tells you to start moving and going and moving and going. And then with the people that you find the most influential in your life. Like I think for myself, when growing up, someone that had what I call believe, behave, become, like Muhammad Ali believed, yeah, that he would become a world champion boxer. Yeah. From him believing, he started behaving like a world champion boxer. He then became a world champion boxer because he believed enough, he had the behaviors, he trained, he worked out, he then became
Yeah.
that boxer. He then behaved as being, he wanted to become the best there ever was, the greatest boxer. So he started believing himself as being greater than all the boxers. He changed his complete mindset. He talked down to everyone. And he made people defeated before they even entered the ring with him. So then his behaviors, that's what I mean. From his behaviors, he defeated people before they even stepped in. And then with his training, his behaviors, he then became the greatest. But he just didn't stop there. He never stopped it. And it's all about a journey of learning. He then wanted to be the ambassador of boxing. He started acting like the ambassador of boxing, behaving like the ambassador of boxing. And then he became the ambassador of boxing. And someone that has not watched boxing or does not know boxing, if you say to them Muhammad Ali, they'll know who Muhammad Ali is. Yeah.
That's
And
right.
it's just that, it's facts. And that's why I say people really need to know who they want to be and have that vision of that someone. The really good thing about yourself, they come to you at one point in their life, yeah? And it's a transformational period.
Correct.
And then when they buy the suit, yeah, for instance, and they get dressed this well, get rid of the old look, chuck them away because you know what goes in the back of your head? Oh, those old jeans. Oh, that old jumper. That's you. That's the old you. That's not the new you. And by you having that kind of energy and the connotation, you're going to go and put it back on. Then you're going to get comfortable with it back on. You're not going to look good. You're not going to go out. You're not going to have your shoulders up backwards, feel proud of yourself because you've gone backwards again. So it's all around having a perception and a vision of yourself. Write that down. Not only just have it in your head, write down who that person is, but then understand who that person is in a year's time. Because you're not going to make the person that you have in 5 years or 10 years, but make it the person that you want to be in a year's time. That person will then help you get to the person that you want to be in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, 4 years' time, 5 years' time. So then when that vision of whoever you want to be in that 10-year period is boom, it's there because you're working with small steps slowly and going through them.
Wow. I love that. And I've been itching to ask you a question. So, what is Tan Chrissis believes, behave, become? So, answer those questions for yourself. Like, I want to know, who do you believe you're going to be? Who are you behaving to be? What are you becoming?
So for me, I always have it on my wall. I have a vision board on
Damn
my
it.
wall.
Look,
Every
I thought I tricked you, but you got it.
No,
Okay,
no,
tell
I
me.
have a vision board every year I do a vision board, yeah? And I
Yes.
have my three main things that I have always is sayings, yeah, as well, that I always live by. So the first thing is ability is what you are capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. Attitude determines how well you do it. So if you believe in yourself, anything is possible.
Wow. Okay. Like it.
The other one I always have up is whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve.
Yes. Very true.
Then on my board, I have representations of where I want to go and what I want to do. So on one segment of my board, it's all around knowledge, books. Yeah. Then it's partnerships. Then having a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. But not having just wealth growing, I want wealth to grow around the world. So I have a vision of a planet with trees and wealth growth coming out of it. So I put that in my head. Then where I want to achieve certain things, who do I want to visit? Who do I want to see? So for instance, on my mood board in November, I wanted to meet Ty Lopez. I got to meet Ty Lopez in January, end of January, February time. We filmed
So
a
great.
podcast together, and I got to go to his mansion as well and film it in his mansion. That's on my vision board.
Wow.
I'll show you a picture of my vision board so you can see. And then it's what I want to do. So podcasting is something that I really want to do this year. So how do I become the best podcast? My podcast is going to be very different. It's going to look at who are the influential thinkers of our generation now, and what makes them different in society, and
Hmm.
who they are. I also have a Greek background, and I very much like the old Greek schools. A lot of people talk about Stoicism and
Yes.
Stoics having the Stoic habits, but I'm very much, I also look at the Epicureans. And the Epicureans fascinate me because they teach you how to have like a balanced life and how you then balance yourself and refine yourself out in a day-to-day activities, what you want to achieve, how you want to be, but not to get lost in the, how can I say, the rat race, because there
Yeah.
is a big rat race that we all follow. We all want to achieve the rat race, having what we want, where we want it, but it's actually having using Epicurean, like the Epicurean methodologies around materialism and the economy, but having like the false illusions of it, because I think people usually have illusions of success, like money and fame, and as they can bring false promises. But like the biggest misconception with society is believing wealth equals fulfillment.
Mm.
Certainly, wealth provides some sort of fulfillment, but that's only financial success, material success, which is that can automatically just attain that aspect of happiness, but it's not actually true happiness. But it's actually consistent around what is fame going to give to you? How are you going to perceive it? What's going to be the pinnacle of your achievement? Because fame is nothing. What are you achieving by it? What are the outcomes? Do you want to
Mm.
be, do you want to be a high profile celebrity, an entrepreneur that speaks openly? What do you want? But then there's the Epicureanism where your pursuit and direction just truly matters about you and your inside. So having validation about your inner tranquility, your being self-sufficient, and enjoying like the simple pleasures. Because sometimes you have the fame and you don't get to slow down. Because if you slow down, you lose the fame, you'll lose the wealth because you have to stay at that pace. And I think it's having the necessary desires. I think myself, the what I believe is having necessary desires and then behaving in those ways with necessary desires and non-necessary desires, but excluding them. So necessary desires could be like, I really enjoy having good food in my life, having a nice house, having good friendships and environments around me. So I believe if you have this, and then having peace of mind because I have those aspects. And those are
Mm.
like the fundamental aspects of like having a strong well-being. Like the unnecessary things is overindulging, expensive indulging, inherently like being bad with people because, all right, I've got money, so who are you? So how you act around the service staff or when you're on a plane or anything like that, it will
Mm.
then start creating anxiety, competition in your brain. And then it's like an endless dissatisfaction with yourself that happens. And I think in today's world, like these are the conditions that we really need to look more at and having like more of a what is a balance between the material aspects of ourselves and inner fulfillment. And I have like a routine I always do. So and if you're asking me what I believe, it's like instead of measuring success by wealth and status, define it based on my values, my relationship, and my personal growth. And I basically ask myself what truly makes me happy on a daily basis and write it down. And what kind of life can I build from that? I think also where you said when you have clients that are around people, and it's really tough because it's understanding those changes. And a really good thing about Epicurism is considering friendships is one of the biggest things. And it was one of the schools in Greece that allowed anyone from any status, a slave, a woman, anyone can come and learn in that school.
Okay.
And it was hope of like it was more greatly focused on sourcing happiness and with the right people and investing in real relationships and not just professional networks. I think I saw something around networking. It doesn't matter how many numbers that you have in your mobile. When you call that person, are they smiling when you call them or not?
Hmm.
Because that could be something aspect like that aspect. But I also think in our hyper digital world, trying to find genuine human connection is more valuable than ever now. And that's why I really invest in real relationships and then prioritizing the simple things. Like you don't need to have extravagant things to make you happy, but focus on what genuinely brings you peace and joy. Like focus on those aspects.